How do I overcome a toxic relationship with a parent so we can let go of our contentious past?
It will require the cooperation of the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And if that fails, then it might require boundary setting.
Yeah.
It's so easy for us to believe that we can actually change other people, and it's impossible. The only people we can change is ourselves. And even that's damn hard, right? So what makes us think we can actually change other human beings? We can't. That's why I love Al-Anon, by the way, which is the support group for people who are in relationship with addicts and alcoholics. Yeah. It's because it says, don't bother trying to change that person. Work on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that I think you're going to be able to live in a positive relationship with that person. If the toxicity becomes too self-damaging, or just not too self-damaging, but just damaging, then you have to erect the proper boundaries to protect yourself and the relationship. Like a good boundary will protect the relationship from imploding, right? So all that stuff is, really important, but it's to give up the idea that she can actually change. But to maybe create the environment in which the possibility of change would be more probable. But I think people are often like, what they're really asking is, how do I change that person in order to make this relationship better? And you can't.
Yeah. I think that, like, when I think about familial relationships that I have kind of issues with, the question I ask is, how can I accept that person for who they are, and like not patronize them, but be agreeable with them as much as I can, as long as it doesn't go outside of my values. Like, so we were just in Ohio for Thanksgiving, and my brother, him and I were like butting heads the whole time. And there was one particular time where he was like, you guys should start selling minimalist t-shirts. And I'm like, you think we as the minimalists should start selling t-shirts? He's like, yeah. He's like, why wouldn't you? And I'm like, because I'm not really passionate about it. I don't feel like I can do a t-shirt better. Our whole thing is kind of anti-consumerism. And like, I mean, he really like came at me because I shot down his idea.
Right.
And what I realized later is, if I would have taken the approach of like, oh, what my brother's trying to do, he's trying to add value to my life. He's trying to give me an idea that he's trying to contribute towards my life, essentially. So there's a way that I could look at him and be like, oh, t-shirts, interesting.
Tell me more.
Or so how would you do a t-shirt, and like really get him involved instead of shutting him down? And the same thing goes with my mother, where, she will, she's like would send me a bunch of conspiracy theory stuff.
Oh boy.
And I used to look at it and say, hey, here's why you might not want to take, this video as gospel. And it seemed to change her. Oh, thank you for sharing that. What do you think about this video? And then I'd respond back, well, here's what you want to consider there. Oh, what about this? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm just enabling her. She doesn't want to do the work to analyze these things herself. Right. She wants me to do the work for her, and I'm not willing to do that. So she stopped sending me videos, and then recently started sending me the conspiracy stuff. Just listen to the last 10 minutes of this,
Promise me you'll listen to this.
But that might require a boundary.
And that's exactly what has happened. So with my mom, I'm like, hey, please don't send this stuff. And then she sent it one more time. And I was like, Mom, I love you. I know that you're trying to help. And this is my way of showing her, hey, I accept who you are as a person, but there's something that I need to like be clear on right now. And it's that I'm not going to watch any of these videos. So setting that boundary while showing my mom I accept her. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Sounds like an interesting video title. I'm still not going to watch it though. So showing her that like there is a level of acceptance, but also setting that boundary has helped her and I get along much better. Yeah, even this last time we were together, like I don't think we've gotten along this well in a long time. Yeah.
But if it's an abusive, really toxic relationship, that might require a provisional boundary that might have to require separating from that person.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. A loving them from a distance.
Yes.
Because to try to change someone is to unlove them. I don't think we realize that. We believe in conditional love in our culture. Hey, I love you, Ian, if you change these 7 things about you. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's not love. That just, in fact, that's hate in a way. It's, hey, if I can change you to make you exactly how the person I want you to be, like you're some sort of Barbie doll or something, then I will love you. But love doesn't work like that. Love has to do with seeing someone for who they are without trying to change them, accepting them for who they are. You may not like every piece of them. Now, the other thing to consider here is maybe the toxic person in the relationship is you. Not you specifically, Ian, but
Thanks for
but quite often what happens in a toxic relationship is the two people are perfectly fine on their own. There's no toxicity there. But when they come together, they create some sort of chemical reaction. And it's easy to blame that other person. Look, this explosion happened because of you. No, it happened because of me and you. Us coming together created this.
Yeah.
Your mom wouldn't be sending you these conspiracy videos if you didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Now, and if you didn't set up the boundary, then you would be adding to the toxicity. If you're like, oh yeah, well, let me argue these 7 points against that or whatever.
Right.
Especially, I could see Danny doing this as an 8. he could, well, let me actually shut this down. I'll describe to you why you're wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Bex might do that. Here's actually the right way to do this is this, right? And where we go with that is we're accidentally, without knowing it, creating an environment that becomes toxic.
Right. Yeah. We always have to own what our piece might be.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things that, for me, creates that toxicity that makes me the toxic person is that when my mom does something to me, I say, oh, she doesn't understand. She doesn't get me. She doesn't consider me. And what I realize is like, wait a minute. Like, am I considering her? Am I trying to get her? And as soon as I started to look outward with that, like that is when it started to get a little bit more calm, where I'm like, oh, okay, like she has her own stuff. I'm going to try and respect her stuff, her perspective, and then maybe she'll do the same for me. And it has, for the most part, worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Did you enjoy this video? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists today. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.